Thank you, and good morning and good evening, everyone. In this session today, along with me is my teammate and colleague Sushank. We will be showing you how to enable single sign on in the Copilot agents for the API plugin. The agenda is quite packed, so let's get started. Here, first, we will give you the basics of declarative agents and how it is built and the package components, and a quick demo of API plugin without auth and the one once we add the single sign on. So, let's get started.
Yeah, thanks, Anna, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. So let's start with the Copilot, and welcome to the world of this Copilot and its agents. So, given the Microsoft M365 Copilot, what are the options available for end customers and its users? We can do three things with this. Either we can adopt it, extend it, and build it. By adopt it means like what are the by default out of the box features given by the M65 Copilot. We can go directly and use that. And that requires some sort of like training, get a habitual of that. And also there are many by default intelligent agents are already provided out of the box, which can directly go and test. And that will gives us like a glimpse or idea what else we can do with this F65 Copilot. Given that, like next thing we can do, like not only want to adopt, like and then we only want to extend it. Extend it in the means like based on the users need or organization need, we can add more capabilities to this Copilot. So we can build like this Copilot is by in itself is a platform. Once we start using it, we can build an agents on top of that. So what are agents in this scenario? Like agents in M365 Copilot are AI assistant, which helps us to perform tasks in some specific domains. And given that, like for example, how agents can work, it can connect to our organization data and the knowledge sources. It can automate repetitive tasks. It can also like resolves like any complex conversation going on between the user and the agent, and it can helps us to simplify our workflow and make more productive. So these are the two ways we will like the agents available in the Copilot platform. One is the declarative agent, one is the custom engine agent. So yep. So given these two type of agents, what are the differences? Like if we want to use the out of the box infrastructure like the orchestration tool, LLM, or the AI intelligence, then we should go for the declarative agents. Here we don't worry about the security, scalability, or the infrastructure. Just bring your data, bring your knowledge sources, and see what actions you want to perform, what tasks you want to perform. Then build a declarative agent. But if you want need more customization, like if you don't want to use by default orchestration AI, if you want to build your own like LLM or some AI orchestration tool, then we should go for these custom engine agents. And to build this any type of agents, either declarative or the custom engine agents, we have the tools available for us are the Copilot Studio and the Visual Studio Code. Copilot Studio is a low code approach, and if you want to go for the pro code, Visual Studio Code is there. So in today's session, we are focusing on the Visual Studio Code using the pro code. So coming to declarative agents, like now we have figured out a scenario and we want to build agents which can cater some users requirement or to perform some tasks. Two options are available. Either we can do by connectors or other second way we can do the plugins. Our differences are that like if we have the knowledge sources or if we have information enterprises data in some graph connector or some in on some underlying data sources that can bring through the connectors. But if you have want to not to only want to get information, if you want to perform more actions, and we have data in the external services, like so, like we have already some organization and multiple services, and that through the REST API. So if you want to bring that data, extend the data to the Copilot, which are under the REST API, that then you can build the plugins for this and bring that information, the real-time data to the Copilot agents. So given that, like, let's have a see, like in the real demo, like what's the plugin based Copilot agent is there. So here we have the Copilot, and there we have installed one agent there that is called Teams Tenant SSA demo, and we have just a simple query like show me the profile information. So there is a REST API which gives the user information. Once we invoke this query, it first asks for the consent for user consent. There we see the letter which and this consent there is SSO is enabled, which gives us the authentication process. Once we get the consent, and this shows the user information. Like this is all coming from the API. So this is like the overall. So if you see in the next, like how this behind the scene, what's going on in the plugin based API agent. So once the user put the query through the Copilot agent, it's through the UI, M365 Copilot UI, it goes to the our Copilot, and there can be multiple plugins like already installed in the Copilot. So based on the user query, Copilot intelligence decides which plugin to call. Internally it's have the intelligence which keeps up the mapping like okay these are the queries coming, so this query best matches for this plugin and it calls the required plugin, and that plugin calls the like underlying API to get the data from the third party sources or the external services. So next we'll see like but now let's see how we can build this plugin. So if you want to build this plugin, we need required like if you follow the Procode approach. So if you go to the Procode approach, there is a extension available in the Visual Studio Code which is called Themes Toolkit. We can install it. Once the extension we install it, just click on that, go to the here Copilot extension, and then choose the API Declarative Copilot. And there are two options showing no plugin or add plugin. If you create a no plugin, it's just a knowledge based declarative agent. Like we can bring the data through the connector. But if you go to the add plugin, it asks us some information like because here in the plugin based it follows the open API specs, which is the open source format similar to the Swagger. Like give the proper description of the API. Then we select one of these options. Then once we select it, it creates a package, like creates a folder. And we just choose the where you want to create this package, and this it will create by this some files in your code. So these are the high level like these are the package created by this Teams toolkit if we select the API based plugin agent. First is the like the you can say manifest file, which is the entry file for any apps in the Teams or any agent. Here in this just a high level overview, what's your agent name is there, and then it's have the description link of this Copilot extension. Like it refers have the references of this declarative Copilot. Then we go to the declarative Copilot and JSON file. There we provide some like instructions, like instructions like what you want to do with this agent, what type of tasks it can perform. Here we define the persona or behavior of your agents, and there here we also add the capabilities and the actions. Capabilities like if some bring the data to some knowledge sources that you can add under the capability. If we are calling the any API plugin, then we need to add under actions sections. So here this JSON file declarative have the reference of the AI plugin JSON. Then we go to the AI plugin JSON. This is the most like the if we are creating declarative copilot using API plugin, then this file will be generated. If it is not, then this file is option. This will not generate it. Only to manifest and the declarative copilot JSON is required. So coming to this AI plugin JSON file, here we will see all the functions this plugin can call. So all the underlying API. Now suppose our API has multiple functions like the get, put, update, or post. The multiple functions is there. All that description we need to provide here. Also the what type of inputs is taking, what type of output it can give. And also in if you see in the here runtime, like the runtime we provide like it has that all the functions. If we see the function for functions, it gives all the functions that in this plugin can call. Plus, it has also the references of this API specific OpenAI YML file, which have the information of like what are the URLs, like the API URL and all the details. Like if you see here, these are our server URL where our API is already all hosted, and these are the paths of our different functions. Like one we have like use only one function. So this is the get user details. Suppose there is update user details or delete user details, then there will be multiple sections in this path. And coming to API plugin addition, there is also the like we have the API, but we also want to secure API. We don't want to open use it by any external sources. So for the security purpose, we need to do authentication. We need to enable SSO. That we do, and this API file will see soon how we can enable that. Yeah, so coming to that, this is overall this is the overall like we just seen. This is the overall different components package in our plug creating a in plugin based API agents. Now let's see how we can enable SSO.
All right, so let's dive into some hands-on quickly. Before that, just the 2 cents of SSO. Single sign-on is an authentication method which enables us to log in to the application once and then access multiple applications. So here, what are the benefits of this, right? So it is very convenient. You don't have to remember multiple credentials of to logging into multiple applications. You just log in once, consent for the first time, and subsequent request will not ask for login or the consent, and you can access the multiple application unless you uninstall and install it, right? And it reduces the risk where the security breach can happen due to the password leakage. Now let us see uh, in diagram, right? If you see, the user tries to log in and the SSO is integrated with the Copilot. Once it gets authenticated using standard identity provider, in this case Azure AD, Azure Active Directory, and here you can see the consent is asked for once by, and user gives the consent, and once the consent is given, the users will be able to access email, calendar, cloud storage, any other services through which the SSO for which the SSO is enabled. Now we will quickly go through how to configure the SSO for the Copilot agents. So for the first step, I will quickly walk through the steps once. Yep. So the first step is create the web app service to deploy the code. And second is create an app registration in Microsoft Enter portal. The third step is Teams developer portal has the new section to register the SSO for Copilot agents, which we will walk you through. And in the step 4, once we register in step 3, we will get two IDs, registration ID and the app URI ID. We have to note it down and come back and modify the app registration, the audience, and the reference ID. So let me, yeah. Let me go through the first step. This is the web app. It is a demo tenant, and I've already created the web app service and deployed the code. Here, the one thing to note down is this default domain part. So the second step is the app registration. We'll quickly go ahead and create a new app registration. SSO demo tenant API. All right. Then I'm creating for single tenant. Add a redirect URI. I've already put it here for my reference. I will copy from here and add this redirect URI and just click register. So now the app registration is created, right? Now the third step is go to the developer portal, teams devteams.microsoft.com. Here under tools section, a new section is being created, Microsoft Entra SSO client registration. Select that, and now we will have to register the newly created app registration. So let's get started. SSO demo API plugin. I am just naming this. You can give any meaningful name. And the base URL is the one, the default domain from the web app service. And just append it, prefix it with the HTTPS. And there you go. This is select my organization only, any Teams app. And this client ID is the one from the app registration which we just created. So I'll copy this and put it here. So save it. And once you save it, you will see that you will get a reference ID and the app ID URI. So we will now go and add this and configure this in the app registration. To begin with, this is the app ID URI. So I'm copying this. Go to the app registration which we just created and go to uh, expose API, expose an API section. Select add and add the app ID URI. This will be the audience for which the Copilot will generate the token. So save this and then we need to add a scope. So I will name it as access as user and admins only. Read API. Just I'm giving quickly. You can give any description here and put it in the enabled state and add the scope. Then next is we have added this app ID URI ID, but now we need to give the Copilot a permission to generate the token for our app. So how do we do that? We have to add the Copilot's app ID. That is, we are pre-consenting the Copilot's app ID to generate the token for us. And here, yeah, I have already put the app ID here, and I'll copy that. Okay, and select the scope and add application. So this is done. One more step is pending, is when we create the app registration, by default the graph permission gets added. So we need to grant permission, grant admin consent for it. Otherwise the SSO will not work. So since I have logged in through the admin account for this demo tenant, I have the option to grant it, and you can see that it shows status granted. So this has to be whatever permissions you add here, it has to be in the granted state for the SSO to work. This is very important. And next, we have configured everything in the app registration. The next thing is we saw the AI plugin package, right? So in the AI plugin package, we earlier saw that the auth was showing as none. Now the reference ID which we get from the developer portal. Sorry. Okay, I'll go back to that later. So here, add this type, the auth type as OAuth plugin vault, and the reference ID which we got from the developer portal, just copy paste it here. So this is the configuration required for SSO. Now this package files which we created from the Teams toolkit, we have retrieved it because we wanted to do some custom modifications, and we have placed it in a different folder and we have modified it. So this is the configuration in the app package. There is one more thing that we need to do, that is in the code, in the configuration file in the Azure AD section, you need to add the audience. This audience is same as the application URI ID which we added in the app registration. So when the Copilot sends the token to your app, then you will validate that token against this audience to ensure that it is secure and then perform the next set of operations. So this completes the configuration of SSO. And now when you upload, when you zip this package, so for any Copilot agent, these files will be present. And AI plugin and Open API YAML will always be optional. It only appears if you have added the API based declarative agent. So you zip this file and then upload on Teams. And when you upload it, it will appear on the right trail in the Copilot window. Uh, in the interest of time, I have already uploaded that and I can see this here, right? So let us do a quick live demo. I will select this and this, and I am saying allow once. All right. So I have got the details of the user, the name, email, whatever I'm sending back from the code. So this is how SSO is configured and how we get the information. Now, the SSO token which generated sends the audience as your app registrations ID, right? If you want to perform any downstream operations or call any third party APIs or any other API, then you will have to go through one more step of generating an on behalf of token, giving the scope of that particular resource and get the new user token and then proceed with calling that API. So now to summarize it, yeah, one more thing is when you upload the package, for the first time, you will get the sign in button. And then after that onwards, you will not be getting this. Also, if you are the admin for the tenant, then you might not see this sign in button because by default it would have been consented. So just to summarize the steps, first create the web app, deploy the code, and create an app registration. Note down the client ID, tenant ID, and in the Teams developer portal, go ahead and then register this. After that, add the audience in the code, add the app URI ID, and update the AI plugin.json with the reference ID. Yeah, this is how we configure the SSO for the agents.